Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Normal Folks podcast. This is your host, Robert Abbott, and this is our 5th episode. And today, I'm very pleased to be interviewing, all the way from Charleston, Illinois, Mr. Chuck Freeland. Well, thank you, Robert. It's a great day to be here. Beautiful weather outside. I am eager to get the interview going and done with, and get on outside in that beautiful weather. Absolutely, Chuck. It is a beautiful day out. I'm not sure if you've listened to the podcast before. I haven't, and that's fine. I usually start it out, though, if you could just introduce who you are and what you do. Well, my name is Chuck Freeland. I own Freeland and Associates, which is a insurance firm in Charleston, Illinois. We specialize in life, health, disability. Actually, I specialize in long-term care insurance. So when elderly folks need to be taken care of, go into an assisted living facility, long-term care insurance helps take care of those costs. So it's not a burden on the family. Oh, okay. Very important work there, Chuck. With the interview style here, I read James Lipton's 10 questions from inside the actor's studio. Are you familiar with those questions? No, I haven't watched the programming before, but I'm sure my wife's seen it. Well, I'm sure she has there, Chuck. Diving into our first question here. Chuck, what is your favorite word? Well, let's see here. I would say my favorite word is daisy. Daisy. Okay, interesting. Could you explain that a little bit? Well, sure, yeah. So daisy is, first off, my wife's favorite flower. My wife Carol's favorite flower is daisy. And it's also what we chose to name our 7-year-old yellow Labrador retriever. Oh, great to hear that you're a dog lover, I take it then? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Love dogs, specifically labs. We have a breeder that we've gone to since we got married in 1988 over in Iowa City, a little bit on the outskirts of Iowa City in Iowa there. It's called Golden Times Labs, and they specialize in Labradors. And we've gone there, Carol and I, that is, ever since we got married. Oh, what a heartwarming story that is there, Chuck. How many dogs have you gotten from Golden Times Retrievers, you said it was? Yes. So Daisy is our third lab, and the third dog from that breeder, yeah. What were the names of the other 2 labs you got from the breeder? Well, funny story, actually, is we have only had dogs named Daisy because that's Carol's favorite flower. Oh, okay. So you have actually only named your dog Daisy. Yeah. So the 2 other dogs we had were both female labs, and they were both named Daisy as well. We found it easiest when one would pass along. If we named the new one Daisy, it was easiest for us, and it was also easiest for the children. Our kids, that is. Carol and I's. Oh, okay. Well, that's an interesting way to do it. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone doing it that way. Yeah, we tried a few different names for our second one, and it ended up being a mess. So those didn't work out too well. Okay. Well, Chuck, here's our second question. What's your least favorite word? I would say my least favorite word is stain. Stain, so S-T-A-I-N, like a grass stain. Yeah, stain. I don't know. I just have never really liked the word. It usually it coordinates to something that's something's been messed up. Something's dirty or you got a stain on the sofa. Daisy left a stain on the sofa. Usually work that could have been avoided.
Let's just say that.
Yeah, sure, Chuck, but also stains can be used to brighten things up and make things look more beautiful. Let's say like a nice wood stain on a coffee table or deck.
Well, yeah, actually, yeah. So I like it when it's I like stains when they're with wood, like a nice wood stain on the armrests of a chair, or on a on a freshly stained fence. Um, yeah, so I guess I can cope with the word when it's used with wood.
Chuck, this is our third question here too, by the way.
Oh, great.
What turns you on?
Well, hmm. Well, I'd say what turns me on, what gets me going, is coffee. Specifically, Maxwell House. That's what Carol buys at the grocery store. It's usually the uh, on sale at Schnucks, which is a local grocery store in Charleston that we go to. It's also what we have at the office, and I tell you what, I am dragging in the morning if I haven't had my cup of Maxwell House coffee.
Oh, that's a very interesting take on that question there, Chuck. I haven't heard that question answered that way before.
Well, that's what gets me going.
Opposite of what turns you on, what turns you off?
I would say what turns me off most is tardiness. People being late for certain events, meetings at Freeland and Associates. We make it a point to be on time. We tell you we're going to be there at 5, we will be there at 5. We tell you we're going to be there at 12:30, we'll be there at 12:30, even though that's during lunch, and we try not to schedule meetings during that time. But tardiness is definitely a big turnoff of mine. And what the quote from Vince Lombardi, I believe it was, the great coach, being on time is being late. Being on time is being there 5 minutes early.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I've heard that quote, and as it was said there another way, I think we get the gist of it.
Yeah, yeah. So tardiness is definitely something that turns me off. And, you say you're going to be someplace at a certain time, you should be there.
You are a man of integrity there, Chuck, and that is admirable. Chuck, what sound or noise do you love?
I absolutely love the sound a lawnmower makes when it first turns on. That motor when it first gets going.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about there.
Yeah, it's that first rumble of the mower when you hear that it could be the first cut of spring, when the grass has reached that about that 5-inch mark, and it's a little bit overdue, but it's the first cut.
Yeah. I can picture it.
Yeah, so when with that first rumble of that motor, after you primed it and you give it the yank.
Yeah, and then the sound essentially becomes almost like white noise as you mow the lawn.
Definitely becomes white noise. But that first sound the motor makes, that first extra, it gives a little bit of an extra rumble.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Well, I absolutely hate the sound of one of my children crying. It's heart-wrenching. You never like to hear that. That's because you bring your kids into the world, and that was your responsibility, and they are your responsibility. And the main thing about being a father, being a parent, is you just want your children to be okay. It's what Carol and I try to focus on day in and day out, is making sure our children are okay. But you know how life is. Sometimes there's going to be hurdles for them, and just hearing them upset or hearing them in tears is well, it's a low point.
I imagine that's hard to go through. How many kids do you have?
Well, I have three children. Brian is our youngest. He is 10. Kristen is our middle child. She's 14. She uh, just began high school this year, and our oldest is named Shelby. She is a sophomore at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, SIUE, down in Edwardsville, Illinois. There, she is a history major, and she also plays tennis. She's on the tennis team there. So I am a proud SIUE tennis dad.
Ah, that's great, Chuck. I heard your voice raise a little bit there. You sound. It seems like speaking about your kids really brightens you up.
Absolutely. I'm proud of all of them. And even though Brian, our youngest, he's a little bit of a troublemaker, but he's a good boy, and his sisters definitely take care of him as much as Carol and I do.
Chuck, this is the absolute most heartwarming interview I've done so far here.
Well, I like talking about my family. That's pretty much what it is.
And as you should, it sounds like they're all wonderful. Chuck, what do you say we try to make this a little bit more PG-13 rated?
Well, I don't know how we would do that.
Well, with my next question here, Chuck, what is your favorite curse word?
Wow. Well, I typically don't curse.
I figured that as much about you, Chuck. But just for the sake of the interview, time to let loose a little bit.
Well, let me see here. See, it's been a while since I've said one.
Yeah, Chuck. But this is it's just me, you, and to be honest, a lot of people aren't going to be listening to this podcast. So have free range. Get it out.
Well, it's just been, I don't even know. I would say my favorite curse word is crud.
Crud is not a curse word there, Chuck. Let's try this again, okay?
Well, okay. I would say my favorite curse word then is crap.
Crap is also not a curse word, Chuck. Come on. Didn't you ever play sports back in the day? Were they allowed to curse at you, coaches that is, back in the 50s or 60s whenever you played?
Well, okay, I did. Yeah, I played sports, and I did. Yeah, you think that I'm that old? Huh? Well, last time I was on a football field in uniform, it was early 70s, mid 70s, and yes, they did curse at me. Let me think here. Okay, my coach, Tom Jasanovich, used to always call us Jackasses.
There we go, Chuck. Didn't that feel good?
Well, no, not really. He said it in a very endearing way, too. He'd be like, at the end of the season or something, I've never been as proud of a group of jackasses like yourselves. Or at the end of a big win, you would be like, that was such a big win, you jackasses almost gave me a heart attack. But I've said the word enough already, so hopefully none of my clients or my family are listening to this, because I do not condone that language in the Freeland household. Brian, if you listen to, there better be a parental advisory click on this, because I do not want my son Brian listening to this, because I guarantee if he learns that word, he will be saying it every other word.
We'll make sure we flag this podcast as inappropriate for children there, Chuck, just so your son won't listen to it.
Well, thank you. And that's the smart thing to do. That's the right thing to do.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
If I had to be getting paid to do something else besides selling insurance, it would be fishing.
Fishing? Okay. So you fish a lot?
Yeah, quite a bit, especially on the weekends. I love watching, actually, fishing on ESPN2, the pro bass fishing that they have, and the bass competitions are lakes around the Midwest there. They're really interesting. They catch some big fish too. It looks like a great way to get paid and a great way to spend your Sunday, to actually be in the action and not just watching it like myself at home.
Chuck, what's the biggest bass you ever caught?
Oh, well, the largest bass I ever caught had to have been 1994. I was out fishing with my friend Lou at Clinton Lake in Clinton, Illinois, and I caught a 12-pound bass there, which was huge for the size. The locals there had, never seen anything as quite as big. What we thought was that, see, this bass had been feeding on the corn crop. Corn would fall in to the side of the lake there because cornfields surrounded the lake, and some of the corn crop would fall off into the lake, and this bass had apparently just posted up by the side and was just feeding on corn for years and years and years. And I hooked it, and like a good Samaritan, I put him back. I snapped a photo. Had the camera on me that day. Thank the Lord. And snapped a photo, framed it, put it up in my den. And who knows? Maybe that bass is still swimming down there. Not much swimming, just posted up on the side of the lake, feeding on corn.
That's a big fish, 12-pound bass. Wow. Chuck, what profession would you not like to do?
I would not like to be in waste management.
So garbage pickup.
Well, yeah, but better term for it's waste management. Those individuals, I tell you what, they work hard, and their hours are long, and they're dealing with other people's trash, and that has to be one of the most displeasing and hard jobs there is out there in the world. Now, I'm an early riser, but those people wake up at the crack, and I mean crack of dawn. They work through all types of weather as well, and every day and week of the year. I have much respect for those individuals in waste management.
Doing the Lord's work, as we say.
Yes, they truly are doing the Lord's work.
Coincidentally, Chuck, that leads us into our 10th and final question. I can't believe we've already gotten here. It's gone by quick.
It has. I've enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well, that's a heavy question there.
And that's why it's the last one here.
I think I would like him to say, Chuck, you were a good man to the people around you. You were a good family man. And I'm proud to have you up here. Then hopefully waiting with him would be Daisy 1 and Daisy 2, and I could see probably Daisy 3 hopefully at that time. I hope to outlive Daisy 3, that's for sure. And then all my friends and family would greet me there, and we'd have maybe a barbecue.
Just a little extension of the question here. What would you like to have at the barbecue on your first day in heaven?
Oh, well, just typical barbecue food. Ground chuck burgers, all beef hot dogs. I like the ballpark kind, the ones that plump when you cook them. Maybe some potato salad. Definitely mustard based. I'm a fan of that. Corn on the cob, lots of butter, lots of salt, lots of pepper. Then, of course, iced tea, lemonade, and, well, this goes without saying, but I hope my wife, Carol, outlives me. But if I could have some of her peach cobbler up there, that would be quite special. She got the recipe, too, from her mother, who is unfortunately no longer with us. So maybe, Sharon, if you're up there listening, hopefully it's a long time from now, but if you could have some of that peach cobbler waiting for me at the gates of heaven, that would really make my day.
Well, Chuck, and this interview has really made my day. I want to thank you again for being here.
Well, thank you for having me, Robert. And yeah, very smooth interview. I'm in meetings all the time, and it was a great conversation. It was very nice to meet you.
And it was a pleasure to meet you as well, Chuck. And that's been it for us today on the Normal Folks Podcast. Thank you to all of you for listening. And a special thank you to the insurance salesman, but more importantly, the family man from Charleston, Illinois, Chuck Freeland. Hi, this is Robert Abbott of the Normal Folks Podcast, and thank you all for listening. The conversation you just listened to was improvised by myself, along with the character that I created. I hope you all enjoyed it.